The video is about a specific financial problem that prevents early retirement and the structure that prevents it. You save correctly, invest consistently, and someday you'll see a portfolio telling you you can leave your job now. You too. The first year felt like freedom, valid for a second year. Then in the third year, there is a 20% retracement, and your consumption remains at its original level. So you keep paying out of your shrinking portfolio. And somewhere in the background, a number begins to move in the wrong direction. Your Social Security is untouchable. You are under 62. And even if you are 62, filing a claim now would permanently reduce your lifetime benefits by nearly 40%. Your pension won't take effect until you are 65. Your 401k sits on a wall that says $59.5, and you must pay a 10% fine plus the early clearance tax you already owe. You built hundreds of thousands of dollars in accounts over 20 years, and the IRS locked most of them out. That is the gap. It is not a math problem, nor is it a savings problem, a ranking problem that undermines elaborate early retirement. Today, we're going to use a so-called transitional strategy to solve this problem, once and for all. A coordinated system that starts on the day you stop working until your pension and Social Security are fully activated without triggering fines, without damaging your tax class, and, at worst, without selling your portfolio to a falling market. If you are between 45 and 65, seriously considering when you can actually stop, working may be the most economically meaningful thing you've seen this year. Before we build the bridge, we need to figure out the canyon it must cross, because most fires skip that part entirely. Every major retirement account you own is surrounded by age-based walls that don't care how well you plan. Your 401k and traditional IRA will be locked at 59.5, and anyone who arrives before that date will be fined 10%. Social Security starts as early as age 62, but applying at age 62 instead of waiting until age 70 means a monthly reduction of about 40%, not for a few years, but permanently for the rest of your life. Of the $2,500 monthly benefits for retirement age, the shortfall costs more than $1,000 a month. Pensions follow their own plans, and most don't take effect until age 60, 62, or 65. Depending on the plan, even Roth IRA's income has a lock-in period, 59.5 years, or 5 years after the initial contribution, whichever is later. Retirement at 50, a very realistic shooting target for people who start investing at 25. You see a 9-year gap, a 12-year gap before tax-exempt accounts to pay fines, a 20-year gap before Social Security is fully available, and a 20-year gap before Social Security reaches its maximum at 70, 9 to 20 years. That is the canyon. For retirees today, 2026 is particularly dangerous in a market environment. On the other side of the waiting list, the S&P 500 is down about 4% so far this year. The Nasdaq fell nearly 7 points. Rising oil prices, inflation concerns, and continued geopolitical uncertainty have created open conditions for earnings sequence risk to become a theoretical reality. The order of return risk means that the timing and size of the loss equally important. According to an analysis by Fidelity, the difference in numbers is hard to dispute. 2 retirees get $50,000 a year, starting at $1 million. A retiree entering a strong market makes more than $3 million in 30 years. A retiree who enters a recession market is completely exhausted after 27 years. The same starting balance, the same withdrawal rate, completely different results. The only variable is the order in which gains and losses arrive. Andrew Small, Chief Financial Officer of A Advisors, made it clear in an interview with CNBC this month that the best way to deal with earnings sequence risk is to plan before retirement, not after retirement, when you want to start planning in 3 to 5 years. The bridging strategy is planning. The bridging strategy is a coordinated multi-account withdrawal structure designed to do 4 specific things that are understood as the difference between people who successfully retire and those who return to work 5 years later. First, it gives you years of free income from retirement to age 59 and a half. Second, it keeps Social Security unchanged for as long as possible, 70% if you can. So through the delay window, the annual benefit compound is 8%. Third, it manages taxes throughout the transition by controlling which account you withdraw money from and in which order. Fourth, by positioning different asset types as buffers in front of them, long-term portfolios can be protected from the damage of income sequences. The system operates on 3 pillars: taxable brokerage, Roth conversion ladder, and Rule 72T, through substantially equal periodic payments. The most important thing is the coordination of Social Security delay strategy and pension scheduling. Each pillar handles the different stages of the bridge, together covering the entire span from early retirement to pension and Social Security income, taking over the portfolio burden. Taxable brokerage accounts, the starting point for most early retirees, happen to be the cleanest and most flexible bucket in the overall retirement picture. There is no age limit. There are no fines and no distribution schedules. Funds can be withdrawn at any time, for any reason, as long as the position is held for more than 1 year. Any gains will be taxed at the long-term capital gain rate, and married couples earning less than $94,000 in 2026 will be zero. Read it again, because it is so important. In years of early retirement, your total household income may be low enough, before considering Social Security and pension income, that you don't have to pay any federal taxes on investment income. The bridge isn't just a survival gap. It is the most tax-efficient window into your entire financial life, and the taxable broker is the way you open it. The discipline required is what planners call strategic exhaustion, deliberately selling stocks in an orderly manner, reaping losses if the portfolio allows, and remaining within a zero return on capital year after year. You're not just spending money from a brokerage account. You're doing aggressive tax engineering, and savings accumulate quietly over time. With that in mind, consider David, 52, who just retired from software engineering, who holds $1.4 million in 3 accounts: a $400,000 taxable broker account, a $700,000 traditional personal retirement account, and a $300,000 Roth personal retirement account, of which $180,000 is contributions and $120,000 is income. An annual fee of $65,000 was submitted to his wife by first withdrawing money from taxable securities, firms, and carefully managing the distribution of capital gains. They keep taxable income well below the profit tax threshold for about 6 years. Ages 52 to 58. Taxable brokerages finance their lives at the lowest federal tax cost. The same year that Mr. David's parallel Roth transition ladder was quietly building the next runway of all the tools available to early retirees. Roth's transition ladder is the least practical understanding most people have heard of. Dealing with this correctly could change your total tax position by tens of thousands of dollars after retirement, and skipping it would create a tax problem at 73 that most people would never see how these mechanisms work. Each year during early retirement, you transfer some of your traditional IRA or 401k, to the Roth IRA and pay general income tax on the amount converted that year. After 5 years of each transaction, the dollar is fully available. No fines, no surcharges, no age requirements. Each year's conversion starts its own 5-year clock, which means that each year's continuous conversion creates a series of accessible funds, one level at a time, starting 5 years after the start. Because of the income gap caused by leaving, the timing is very effective. In the period between retirement and Social Security activation, most people have a much lower tax bracket than at peak income. Converting traditional IRA currencies into Roth during this window period means paying taxes at 12 cents or 22 cents instead of the 32 cents or 37 cents required for service life, a discount that locks in decades of deferred tax growth before further compounding. Back to David. Starting at age 52, when a taxable broker paid for his living expenses, he converted $35,000 a year from a traditional personal retirement account to Roth. Each conversion produces a modest tax bill, about $4,000 to $7,000 a year, based on his total income. Over 7 years, from 52 to 59, he exchanged $245,000 and paid about $45,000 in taxes. By 57, the deal he made at 52 had passed the 5-year rule, sitting in Roth, fully accessible, with no further tax consequences, waiting for the other side. Another option is to do nothing in low-income years, maintain traditional IRA growth, and reach 73, when the required minimum allocation automatically takes effect, forcing you to withdraw large sums from bloated accounts, pushing you to a range of 22% or 24%, raising Medicare premiums through IRMA surcharges, and raising your Social Security income to 85% of taxable income. Running the transition ladder continuously during the transition period can eliminate all this. One puzzling detail: the 5-year rule applies only to each conversion, not to each account. Each transition year has its own independent clock, which means you need to start the ladder at least 5 years before you expect to need money. If you want to get the money by age 59 and a half, it is too late from the year you retire. Not all early retirees leave with a large taxable brokerage account ready to serve as a first runway. For those whose savings are concentrated in 401k or traditional IRA accounts, and few sit outside, there is still a path to impunity until age 59 and a half, embedded directly in the tax code. Rule 72T, formerly known as a substantially equal periodic payment, allows withdrawals from the IRA or 401k at any age, 45, 50, 55, at any time, without the payment of a 10% early withdrawal penalty, provided that the account holder undertakes to make an equivalent periodic payment within 5 years, or more than 59 and a half years. The IRS approved 3 methods of calculation: the required minimum distribution method, the amortization method, and the annuity method, which usually results in higher annual payments. The warning attached to 72T is not subtle. Once paid, these payments cannot be stopped, suspended, or changed without retroactively triggering a 10% penalty, which means the IRS will return and punish each previous allocation. This is a lock-in promise with no exit, and this inflexibility makes it less useful than Roth's conversion ladder as a primary tool. Smart apps are complementary tools, not core. A common structure involves separating a smaller, dedicated IRA, a transitional IRA separated from the main account before the 72T election, from the isolated account to begin regular payments only, and leaving the larger account completely unaffected to maintain Compound interest. Only the specific account you specify will be locked. For David, if a $400,000 taxable broker does not exist, a $250,000 bridge retiree 72T election can produce a penalty-free allocation of about $12,000 to $15,000 a year to supplement Roth contribution withdrawals that are always accessible. It is not a complete income solution in itself, but if needed, combined with Roth access and minimum part-time income, it will cleanly fill the gap until the transition ladder is fully activated. At age 57, everything described so far, the taxable brokerage runway, the transition ladder, the 72T structure, ends up doing something most people underestimate until they see the actual numbers. As the 2026 data show, delaying Social Security is valuable. In 2026, the maximum monthly benefit difference between applying at age 62 and waiting until age 70 was about $2,282 a month for every year of delay beyond the full retirement age, currently 67. For most retirees, benefits are increased by 8%, which is permanent, guaranteed, and adjusted for lifelong inflation. No deposit accounts were closed in the absence of money market funds. Even well-performing stock investments will bring market risks that Social Security does not have at all. A study by the Economic Policy Research Organization found that while 79% of retirees said they retired between the ages of 62 and 64, only about 8% of applicants actually benefited the most from lifetime benefits by doing so. Obviously, most early applicants leave a lot of money behind. Most of them apply not out of strategy, but out of necessity. They need income, and there is no bridge to make up for the gap. The Fidelity-backed Social Security bridging strategy, described by ARP, is a deliberate use of retirement savings to cover the cost of living from early retirement to age 70, especially to keep Social Security compound at the back end. The bridge finances your bills, and your benefits are quietly growing at an annual rate of 8%. For married couples, delays become more valuable because survivor benefits are directly related to the records of high-income people. When one dies, survivors receive the larger of the two benefits, meaning that spouses with lower incomes who live longer than those with higher incomes receive fully delayed benefits for the rest of their lives. In this context, the bridge strategy also provides long-term income security for remaining spouses. Break-even ages range from 80 to 82. In addition, higher deferred benefits have paid off everything early applicants received, and then more. Math tends to be explicitly and consistently delayed for people 55 or 60 years old who are in good health and whose family history shows normal or above average life expectancy. With all three pillars defined, a complete real-world example makes the whole structure visible in time and accurately shows how each piece passes on to the next, without leaving gaps. No SARA -50. Retire today. $1.8 million from 3 accounts. $500,000 from a taxable broker. $900,000 from her 401k traditional ERA. And $400,000 from Roth's ERA, of which $250,000 is contributions and $150,000 is income. Families spend $72,000 a year. She filed with her husband. Her Social Security benefits, estimated at $2,800 a month when she retires, at 67, would rise to about $3,600 a month if postponed to 70. Taxable brokerages pay $72,000 a year for all living expenses, while Sarah switches from a traditional ERA to Roth for $40,000 a year. Total taxable income has remained around $40,000. Brokerage withdrawals are mainly capital gains, a large part of which is within 0% of their income level, which has kept the conversion tax bill moderate year on year. By 55, she had repositioned $200,000 to Ross and paid about $40,000 in conversion taxes over 5 years. The second stage ranges from 55 to 59.5. Since she was 50, the 5-year rule has now been removed from her exchange. So since she was 55, she has withdrawn money from the proceeds of the complex Ross exchange without penalty. Every year, there is a new transformation to keep the ladder running. At this stage, the traditional era balance has declined steadily, which has also eroded the future RMD problem. In this process, the third phase starts at 5,930 and continues until age 67. All restrictions have disappeared. The traditional era, Roth income, all of which can be used with impunity, and Sarah now has full flexibility to withdraw funds from which account in any given year, allowing her to continue targeting the lowest possible tax bracket. During that period, Social Security remained uncollected, growing at an annual rate of 8%. Beyond retirement age, the fourth stage covers the last window, ages 67 to 70. Portfolio withdrawal will continue as needed. Sarah, 70, who starts Social Security at $3,600 a month, will come here every month for the rest of her life after adjusting for inflation. Regardless of market conditions, income pressures on her portfolio have plummeted, and everything she has built has outlived the last few years. She retired at 50, paid a minimum tax on the entire bridge, and received every dollar legally and cleanly, because the building was built years before she needed it. A well-designed bridge still needs stress testing because there are real failure points, each with a specific response. The biggest threat is a series of profit and loss in the early years, and 2026 is a living example of the importance of this. The S&P 500 is down 4% so far this year. The Nasdaq is down nearly 7 points. And geopolitical uncertainty keeps oil prices rising, a situation that permanently damages retirement portfolios. When retirees voluntarily withdraw from retirement portfolios, when prices fall, a hedge is a cash buffer that separates the cost of living from the portfolio for 1 to 2 years, so you can withdraw cash in a downturn rather than sell stocks at a depressed price. Frank Maltese, a Fidelity financial advisor, directly described the problem. If you retire into a falling market and don't reduce the size of withdrawals, your portfolio will shrink permanently due to falling prices. And continued allocation, the cash buffer broke the chain, giving the portfolio time to recover before it needed to hit again. Tax changes represent a second risk that cannot be fully hedged by any strategy, but it is in line with current favorable rules to act before any future adjustments. Roth conversion rules, capital gains, ratings, and Social Security tax thresholds have all changed before, and the implementation of the conversion during the low-income bridge window, although the zero capital gains rating and current Roth rules remain unchanged, locks in benefits that future legislation may not provide. The most immediate solution to longevity risk is the Social Security delay strategy itself. The likelihood that you will live longer than the plan assumes. The biggest return at age 70 is inflation adjusted and does not expire, which means that the longer you live, the higher the value of postponing a claim decision. As earnings grow, this bridge will give you access to capital and protect you once the portfolio's role as the sole source of income begins to shrink. The rigidity of Rule 72T remains a real risk if abused, keeping it only on a separate dedicated bridge era, never on your primary retirement account. Frees the larger portfolio from any locked-in payment commitments and retains the ability to adjust when financial conditions change. After retirement begins. Frankly, here are the actual gains. The FIRE movement has long viewed retirement as a mathematical equation. Save 25 times, withdraw at a rate of 4% a year, and then complete it. Math is right, but behind the math is engineering, ranking, account ranking, switching timing, delay rules. Without this layer, when the market is bad for you in the third year after retirement, if there is any sign in 2026 that retirees are now living in it, a portfolio that looks good on paper could collapse badly. Bridging strategies do not require complex financial products. It doesn't require managers to charge 1% of your assets a year. Even if a good fee-only consultant is really worth the cost of switching. The ladder and 72 details. What it needs is a taxable account positioned as the first runway, a Roth conversion that is consistent in years when your income is at a lifetime low and your tax rate matches. Discipline that remains unchanged until Social Security grows to its maximum value, and a cash buffer that prevents you from selling goods to the worst market conditions. At the worst, the gap between early retirement and traditional pension age is the most financially exposed period of your life. If properly constructed, the same gap will be the basis for your best tax window, your highest return conversion opportunities, and the income structure you maintain under the kind of market conditions that come this year. Build the bridge before you need it, because once you get to the other side of your last paycheck, the construction window closes. If that changes your view of retirement plans, the like button can help more people ages 45 to 65 find content in the window. Delete your situation from the comments. The follow-up video comes directly from your question. Next time, let's look at the RMD bomb. What happens to retirees who skip the transition ladder and arrive at age 73 with a traditional IRA that has not been affected for 20 years, face 6-digit forced withdrawals, and push them into a tax class they never planned? Completely predictable. Far more common than most people realize. Worth a complete collapse. See you next time.